Hold it right there. Europa Universalis and Crusader Kings, the mashing together of my two favorite games, with over 5,000 hours of combined playtime. Karen, clear my schedule for the next 2 weeks. I'm RB balls deep in this magical love child. Well, this looks pretty, doesn't it? Let's see if Paradox have managed to include some quality of life adjustments to the game. Well, would you have a look at that, ladies and gentlemen? GUI scaling, at long last. Perhaps Paradox have broken their MO and decided to put some effort into this. The forums have only been rammed with this question for the past 5 years, at least they're listening, finally. Apart from that, there's all the usual graphical doodahs you'd expect from Paradox. Although I have to say this marble effect UI is starting to look and feel a bit tacky. Anyway, let's get into it, shall we? Hannibal crossing the Alps, nice one. Prepare to get your poop pushed in Rome. So here we are. Imperator Rome, looks promising. There seems to be a hell of a lot of tags there. The map looks fairly limited. But that's because obviously no one lived outside of the areas depicted.
But Lucky, what about the estimated 60 million people in China alone in this age?
You shut your whore mouth, Karen. Let me enjoy my ignorance. Rome, diplomatic relations, and range makes sense, I suppose. Some interesting modifiers here, but that seems like a big modifier to fort defense to me. Still, adds a little diversity to the game. By the looks of things, there are more than the usual troop types in Paradox games. Great, we're a republic, but with all that space, could they not stack those green numbers and give some sort of explanation of what the hell they are? So here we see the first bit of Crusader Kings influence. Character traits, ambitions, even health. Oh, and now we get 4 magical mana pools and not just 3. Lovely. Silly hat mana, based entirely on the stats of our character, so a bad character is going to really fuck you up. Excellent. Nice to see some character traits having an effect. A few insignificant subjects. And then we're onto the Victoria to influence with population types, all with their own cultures and differing religions. Happy days. Let's just see how our subjects feel about us. Is liberty desire a thing? No, it's now loyalty to Rome. Makes sense, I suppose. Also, we get paid in people and not money. Outstanding. So that's Rome. Are the others any different? Egypt, what do you have to offer? A bit bland there. They could have done better considering it's a recommended nation. At least they're a major power. Also a monarchy, yet again Paradox, you have the space, give some explanation to these fucking numbers. So pretty much the same as Rome then, just less fleshed out. What a shock. How about Carthage? Are some different traditions? I like it. Cheap and strong boats. Well, maybe Paradox have pulled something spectacular out of their arse and now naval warfare is influential. Still have no idea what these numbers mean. Paradox, I beg you, please. Different religion, different culture, some more traits to look at, but pretty much the same template as Rome or Egypt. I can almost smell the character customization DLC. Macedon. Are you any different? Not really, just much of a muchness. Seleucids. Same shit, different color. Excellent. Phrygia. How about you? Anything different? Nope. Well, what about the tiny countries? Any flavor there? Barbarian traditions that give no tangible modifiers, just chariot culture. Apart from that, I can't really see much that separates them from the so-called civilized countries. Nope, nope, nope. Looks like every single barbarian country from Germany to Ireland, Scotland to Iberia had exactly the same traditions, I never knew. These are some pretty massive culture groups. Pity Paradox decided not to put a culture group tab at the top of the map. We could have easily identified what a half-assed job they did. Hold the phone, what is this? Levantine and Arabian traditions. And they actually get a modifier. Paradox didn't want to be Charlie Hebdo'd, it seems. Now India. And we're back to no tangible modifiers. Well, that's a lot of room for DLCs right there. Looks like the entirety of India has exactly the same traditions, a little like half of Europe being barbarian. This is just lazy but leaves room for expansion, I suppose. Persian traditions. With their own special cultural modifiers, great. However, there are so many groups without modifiers I can't really get excited by this. It just feels like the whole culture thing has been sliced out ready to be dropped in at a later date. But that appears to be your lot. In 304 BCE there were 7 recognized traditions in the known world. The majority of which are not going to offer you any tangible bonuses. I'm trying to find something different, anything. But it looks like 7 is all you get. For now. Well, I suppose I should start a game. Let's pick Rome. Wait, what the fuck is that? Mixed gender rules. Fuck my life. You can tell this was made in Sweden. For the Republic. Yay, sure, you're already starting to get on my tits. Well, the map looks pretty at least. I'm going to leave you here and bring you back once I've got to grips with the game.
2 hours later.
Wankers! Fucking embarrassing. Waste of our time. Fucking waste of our time!
Lucky, come back, you have to tell the people how the game is.
It might as well be called generic Roman game. But without the Roman bits you learned about in school. You know, like amphitheaters, bathhouses, aqueducts, fucking gladiators. It's a fucking shell of a game, and I wish Steam would allow longer refund periods for so-called grand strategy games, so I could get my fucking money back. It's so shit and half-assed in fact, that Paradox had to roll out a game-breaking hotfix almost immediately just to make the game playable. It's why I have no one in these seats anymore. I mean, just how the fuck does that happen? How the fuck does this kind of thing continue to happen to a multi-million pound game studio that have been developing grand strategy games for 20 years? If you told me this shower of shit came from a studio that had never made a grand strategy game ever, I would believe you.
But Lucky, PC Gamer gave it 92% and said it was the reason they're sleep deprived.
Fucking PC Gamer. The same PC Gamer that begs you to turn your fucking ad blocker off just to get on its site. Fuck them. You think they didn't get their palms greased? They're probably sleep deprived because it can be hard work being such a fucking mong.
But Rock Paper Shotgun Dude wants to cry over the game.
Who the fuck are Rock Paper Shotgun? Another cunt who begs you to turn off your ad block, no doubt. Who listens to these fuckers anyway?
But IGN.
Shut up, Karen. Everyone knows IGN is just the advertising arm of the gaming industry masquerading as news. No one listens to them. No one cares what they say other than the developers that slap their bloated figures all over their upcoming games. Anyway, back to this game. It's a piece of piss. Just keep everyone's loyalty high and you're good to go. There's also meant to be the Senate overview here. But game-breaking patches will be game-breaking patches, I suppose. But it's okay though, you can entirely ignore the Senate. I've not felt any challenge in this game. We're up to about 1 million manpower now, so who the hell is going to stand in our way? I get that once you snowball you can become unstoppable, but in games like EU4 there always seems to be tangible pushback against your expansion. Same situation with our money, although I see the dev team totally forgot what a fucking slider was. I want more control over numbers, not less, you absolute set of fucking mongs. Also the penalties for going into debt. A 6.2% chance of 6 random events, one of them being money falling from the fucking sky. I shit you not. In EU4 there are over 40 map modes. It gives some hint to the depth of the game. Here we have 18. Less than half. Now fair enough, some of the EU map modes are trivial, but you can't cut 22 map modes out and say you have a good grand strategy game. Keep in mind this wasn't a fresh team working on this project. The lead dev Johan left EU4 to work on this. He knew every EU4 asset intimately, he already knew what worked and what didn't. So why the fuck is this such a massive pile of didn't? It reminds me a little of HOI4. A watered down, simplified version of HOI3. But it looks pretty, so that's okay then. The fucking barbarian map mode. Every now and then you'll get stacks of barbarians rampage out of some fucking mountain tile with no warning and you have to go and mop them up. A giant pain in my ass, and the reason I still have tributary states, they can go and sort it out.
But Lucky, weren't rampaging barbarians historic?
Maybe so. But this is grand strategy. Give me numbers, give me progress, allow me into the mountain strongholds to preemptively put them down. I don't want random rebels popping on me just because. So many decisions to choose from, another casualty of the fix. Bear in mind that none of these decisions will pop up on the notification bar once you've satisfied its criteria. Nope, you need to look in this decision tab every fucking few months. But notification DLC has a certain ring to it, I suppose. Magical stability button can be found in the religion tab, where you spend your sun mana once, and then sit at 3 stability for the majority of the game. Aggressive expansion can also be dragged down a little quicker depending on what fucking god you pray to. Like anyone outside your religious group is going to give a fuck. Technology is a mess. There's no real path, no idea groups that work so well in EU4. No way of playing your faction exactly how you want to play it. Everything just feels bland and generic. Whether you're playing Rome or a random barbarian tribe, you employ people with high scores in whatever they are meant to be researching. This level of simplification is painful. Here we have barbarians I have integrated into Rome, with higher tech scores than civilized Roman families. Sure, stuff pops up here and you click on what is the least shit. But these ideas don't cycle themselves out if you don't pick them, leading you to have to pick shit ideas just to open up room for good ideas. Depending on your leafy manner, of course. In the diplomacy tab you can fabricate a claim instantly, so long as you have enough scroll mana in the bank. Apart from that and declaring the subsequent war, there's no real use to diplomacy. I never had allies. The subject countries are the ones I started with, and I find no need to vassalize. Knowing what CBs I have on others can be helpful, as there is no claims map mode. Thanks Paradox. Also it does tell you with whom you're trading with, but that information is almost entirely useless. I never found it important to know who I was trading with. Now onto the military tab. You get 3 distinct tradition paths you can choose from. You can focus on one as I have done here, or pick your way down any 3 of them starting from the top. I like Paradox's use of pictures here, it really helps to dumb down the game. Now onto the military statistics of your country. We also see discipline and siege ability here. Rome has some good buffs to heavy infantry, so that's the backbone of my forces. In fact, I don't think I have recruited anything other than heavy infantry. Every now and then commanders will raise troops out of thin air, and they can be a mixed bag of any troop type. I let them do it rather than lose loyalty. Every now and then a unit or cohort will decide that it is going to be loyal to the commander instead of being loyal to the state. Whilst I understand how this could happen, like Caesar crossing the Rubicon with the 13th Legion, it makes splitting armies for sieges a giant pain in the ass. You can end up in a situation where a commander's army is far too big and you end up taking attrition. These men literally die out of loyalty. It's stupid. Playing as a barbarian can be even worse, as commanders are clan chiefs, so you can't chop and change them for the best available military commanders you have. Units can become stupid loyal to a dribbling fucking simpleton. Here we get to the paper, scissors, stone part of the fighting as I like to call it. This AAA seas is only unlocked via military traditions, but you can see, According to the composition of this particular stack, it does well against hyena and rhino and crap against bunny and weasel. Fuck me, if I wasn't laughing so much I'd probably cry. As you fight against different cultures they tend to use different tactics, but you soon figure it out, not that it makes that much difference. Oh, and Navy, I almost forgot, Navy is almost as insignificant as in CK2. There's no trade nodes, there's no differing types of boats. Just one type that everyone can build. It's so basic that most of the time I forget I have a Navy at all. Perhaps we'll get some sort of maritime DLC, they can call it Atlantis. Also it's interesting that in the Outlier, the Romans forgot about Roman numerals when naming their fleets. Fucking mongs. Here we have the tyranny level of whatever character is currently in charge of your empire. It doesn't do much, but then you also don't want it getting too high unless you want to flip to dictatorship. It feels like it was implemented for that one reason alone. This is the list of governors, currently in charge of various states, along with whatever policy they have decided to implement. I have a good amount of tyranny right now because I have forced a few of them to implement a cultural change policy, instead of the one they wanted. There is usually a bonus here, but you know what emergency fix our buggy mess patches are like. Here we see some general statistics of our country, cities, population, Diplo rep, no one gives a fuck about Diplo rep. And these are laws we can pass if we have scroll mana available. Also, don't try and click on the flag of your country. It does nothing at all. My favorite part, bear in mind again if you will, that the people who implemented the Outlier into EU4 are the same people that worked on this game. So what the fuck is this abomination? We get 4 buildings to choose from, that's right, 4. In EU4 it's 12, if you count the furnace and discount the building upgrades. That is fucking pitiful. Where is the aqueducts? Where are the bathhouses? Where are the amphitheaters? Where are all the quintessential Roman buildings we all learned about in school? Of all the things in the game, I think this ranks number 1 on the list of things that piss me off. But it's okay, they have left plenty of room for them to be offered as some sort of DLC in the future. Here's the list of all the troop types you never click on. Why would you if you have huge bonuses to heavy infantry? Some types require very specific provinces in order to build them, such as chariots and elephants. Here you can promote various population types instantly at the click of a button, depending on the scroll mana you have at your disposal of course. If we look at a specific province you can see its current population composition. We can convert a freeman to a citizen here for 9 scroll mana. Conversion is exactly the same. No unrest, no rebellion, just spend some sun mana and boop. You're worshipping a different god now. Good luck. How fucking ridiculous. You just don't feel connected to the country you're playing. You don't feel like anything you do has any sort of real impact on the people you're meant to be governing. There's no such thing as religious rebellion. In fact, the whole religion mechanic is almost exactly the same, no matter what your culture. Cultural conversion, as you may have already guessed, is exactly the same. Have the mana. Click a province and suddenly Romans everywhere. Dear God, this is shit. How was this allowed to be so fucking basic? Again, if you told me this had been created by a studio that was new to grand strategy I would believe you. But Paradox has 20 years in the business. This is the trade goods tab, and to be honest I've never used it. That's the level of its importance in the game. You do have strategic goods that you can trade in order to get numerous buffs, but it's hit and miss. Sometimes you can trade for them, sometimes the trade is offered. I suppose you could improve relations with someone until they traded with you, but it's really not worth the hassle. As you get bigger, you can just ship goods between your own provinces for the buffs, completely sidestepping any reason for diplomacy. Here we can see scorned families. Families expect to have a certain income, and income comes from positions in government, as a governor, or the armies. This doesn't really matter in the long run, but I did find that I had to invite some barbarian families to join Rome as I was running out of available governors and people to fill research slots, hence barbarians researching stuff for me. The traits of these people are annoyingly not that relevant. In CK2 you would embark on a real eugenics program in order to create super children. Genius, tall, brawny, but here I never decided to not give a position to a person because of a trait. Loyalty is the overriding factor that influences any choice. But I think that's where I leave this shit show of a new release. What do I really think about it? It's a decent stab at a grand strategy from a company that has never dipped its toe into grand strategy before. But from a company that has 20 years in the business, it's a fucking abomination. It's not like they had to start over with a clean sheet. It's not like they didn't have any experience to pull from. It's not like a brand new team was employed to make this. It feels like they have put more effort into future DLCs merging seamlessly with this game, an issue they had when EU4 became a bloated mess of DLCs, than on actually producing a well thought out game that was fit for launch. I'm beyond disappointed now. In fact, I've written to Steam suggesting that anything logged under grand strategy should be allowed to be played for twice the length of time and still be able to get one's money back. Such is the nature of grand strategy.
But Lucky, it will be a good game after 5 DLCs.
I'm sure it will be, but in front of me now is a bare bones framework, and I can only pass judgment on what I'm playing right now. In fact, it seems like I'm not the only one disappointed with Paradox. Yesterday the Steam rating of this game fell to 39%, with mostly negative reviews. In fact, quite a few of the positive reviews mention it will come good in the future, which is utter conjecture. How could they possibly know? Because it's Paradox's MO. A common theme throughout most of the reviews are its lack of depth, its emptiness, with some calling it an incomplete game. I agree with all of them on that. Some of the positive reviews are from people who are new to Paradox, and new to grand strategy. I also get why they would think this is an okay game. I also get people's desire for this to be better than it is, knowing that in the future it may well be, but reviews that base their rating on what this game could be are overlooking what this game currently is. It's nice to see someone who received the game for free giving it a negative review. A lot of the streamers that got in early seem to have drunk the Kool-Aid. They don't want to piss Paradox off with what they actually think and may well have a non-disclosure agreement until the game is available to the general public. And fair enough. If a good portion of your income comes from playing Paradox games, I can understand not wanting to bite the hand that feeds you. But going against this wave of disappointment may well affect your credibility as a streamer. A good friend once said, "Ignore what people say, watch what people do." Well, Paradox have done this time and time again. If you took this out of my library, I wouldn't buy it again. Until the next disappointment, take care, fuckers.